In 1940, the United States was not prepared for global war. Its army possessed fewer than 500 modern tanks. Its air force was smaller than that of Portugal. Many in Europe viewed America as a wealthy but militarily irrelevant power, protected by oceans and distracted by isolationism. Yet when the sleeping giant finally awoke, it did not merely assemble an army. It unleashed something far greater. It unleashed an avalanche, an unstoppable flood of steel, aluminum, rubber, and gunpowder that would roll across continents and bury the Axis powers beneath its weight. This was not a story of brilliant battlefield maneuvers or revolutionary tactics. It was not about generals or doctrines. The most powerful weapon the United States deployed during World War II was its factory floor. Assembly lines became front lines, production quotas became strategic objectives, and the sheer scale of American industrial output reshaped the war itself. Today, we're counting down the 10 most produced American weapons of World War II, and the numbers behind them are so vast they almost defy belief. For this list, our primary ranking criterion is simple: production volume. The sheer, mind-bending quantity of each weapon produced during the war. But numbers alone aren't enough. We're also factoring in strategic impact, how these weapons influenced the course of the war, and ubiquity, how widely they were used across every theater and by Allied forces around the world. This isn't just about what America built, it's about how industrial power translated directly into victory. Before we begin the countdown, two honorable mentions deserve recognition. First, the iconic Thompson submachine gun. Immortalized by paratroopers and gangsters alike, the Thompson was effective but complex and expensive to manufacture. As a result, only about 1.5 million were produced, eventually replaced by the simpler and cheaper M3 grease gun. Also deserving mention is the legendary Browning automatic rifle, or BAR. This weapon formed the backbone of American squad firepower, delivering devastating automatic fire. Roughly 400,000 bars were built. Both weapons were vital, but their production numbers pale in comparison to what lies ahead. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the weapon that gave the American infantryman the ability to kill a tank: the bazooka. This revolutionary rocket launcher was a simple, portable, and cost-effective answer to armored threats. Its battlefield importance was immediately obvious, and it was rushed into mass production. By the end of the war, over 476,000 bazookas had been built. They weren't just issued to American forces. They were supplied to nearly every major Allied power, forming the foundation of modern infantry anti-tank warfare. At number 9 is a titan of the skies and the most produced American heavy bomber of all time: the consolidated B-24 Liberator. Though often overshadowed by the more famous B-17 Flying Fortress, the B-24 was built in far greater numbers. Its advanced Davis wing made it faster, gave it longer range, and allowed it to carry a larger bomb load. At Henry Ford's Willow Run factory, production reached almost mythical levels. At peak output, a fully assembled B-24 rolled off the line every 63 minutes. By war's end, more than 18,400 Liberators had been built, serving in every theater and forming the backbone of Allied strategic bombing. Number 8 is the battle taxi of the U.S. Army, the M3 half-track. This versatile vehicle embodied American combined arms doctrine. It carried a full 13-man rifle squad while offering protection from small arms fire and shrapnel, all while keeping pace with tanks. The M3 was endlessly adaptable, converted into mortar carriers, command vehicles, tank destroyers, and anti-aircraft platforms. over 41,000 half-tracks were produced, ensuring American infantry could move, fight, and exploit breakthroughs at speed. At number 7 stands the tank that became the symbol of American industrial warfare, the M4 Sherman. Critics have long focused on its individual shortcomings compared to German heavy tanks, but the Sherman's true genius lay not in raw power, but in reliability, ease of manufacture, and standardization. American factories, such as the Detroit Arsenal, produced Shermans at rates the Axis could never match. In total, more than 49,000 Shermans were built, a tidal wave of armor that overwhelmed enemy forces through sheer numbers and constant replacement. At number 6 is the weapon that didn't fire a single shot, yet made every victory possible. The GMC 2.5-ton truck, better known as the Deuce and a Half. If tanks and rifles won battles, this truck won the war of logistics. It was simple, rugged, and nearly indestructible, capable of hauling men, ammunition, fuel, food, and spare parts across deserts, mud, snow, and shattered roads. From North Africa to Normandy to the frozen forests of the Ardennes, the Deuce and a Half was everywhere. General Patton's Third Army, racing across France in 1944, would have ground to a halt without it. American factories produced an astonishing 562,000 of these trucks, giving the Allies a logistical reach the Axis powers could never hope to match. Breaking into the top 5 is one of the most iconic handguns ever made, the M1911 pistol. Designed by John Moses Browning, this .45 caliber semi-automatic had already earned a fearsome reputation before World War II. During the war, demand exploded. Officers, non-commissioned officers, tank crews, pilots, and specialist troops all relied on it as their last line of defense. Renowned for its reliability and the stopping power of its .45 ACP cartridge, the M1911. A1 became a constant companion to American servicemen. During World War II alone, U.S. industry produced approximately 1.9 million new pistols, ensuring this legendary sidearm was present on virtually every battlefield of the conflict. At number 4 is a vehicle so influential that Dwight D. Eisenhower himself called it one of America's greatest contributions to modern warfare, the Jeep. Light, compact, and four-wheel drive, the Jeep could go almost anywhere and do almost anything. It served as a scout car, command vehicle, ambulance, weapons platform, and general transport. Its design was so simple that it could be repaired with minimal tools and even shipped overseas in crates. From muddy European roads to Pacific jungles, the Jeep became the most recognizable Allied vehicle of the war. Nearly 650,000 were produced, making it not just ubiquitous, but indispensable, and a lasting symbol of American ingenuity. At number 3 is a weapon often overshadowed by more famous firearms, yet unmatched in sheer production, the M1 carbine. The U.S. Army recognized that many troops, drivers, radio operators, medics, and support personnel needed something better than a pistol, but lighter and handier than a full-size rifle. The M1 carbine was the answer. Compact, lightweight, and semi-automatic, it offered far greater firepower without excessive weight. The result was mass adoption on a staggering scale. By the end of the war, over 6.1 million M1 carbines had been produced, making it the most manufactured American small arm of World War II by a wide margin. Coming in at number 2 is the rifle that defined the American infantryman, the U.S. rifle, caliber .30 M1, better known as the Garand. General George S. Patton famously called it the greatest battle implement ever devised, and for good reason. While most soldiers of the era were armed with bolt-action rifles, the American GI carried a semi-automatic weapon that gave him a decisive firepower advantage. Every pull of the trigger meant another round downrange without working a bolt. Factories like Springfield Armory and Winchester produced over 5.4 million Garands during the war, ensuring that American infantry entered combat better equipped than their enemies. And at number 1, topping the list, not as a weapon system, but as the lifeblood of them all, is the .50 caliber Browning machine gun cartridge. This half-inch round was the common denominator of American firepower. It fed the M2 Browning, the heavy machine gun that served as infantry support weapon, anti-aircraft gun, vehicle armament, and aircraft weapon. Fighters like the P-51 Mustang, bombers like the B-17 Flying Fortress. At number 7 stands the tank that became the symbol of American industrial warfare, the M4 Sherman. Critics have long focused on its individual shortcomings compared to German heavy S, tanks, half-tracks, and naval mounts all relied on it. The scale of production is almost impossible to comprehend. During World War II, American factories produced more than 12 billion rounds of .50 caliber ammunition. That is not a metaphor. That is not an exaggeration. 12 billion rounds, a river of steel flowing from American factories to every front on Earth. Taken together, these staggering numbers tell a deeper story. They reveal a fundamental strategic advantage that no individual Axis weapon could overcome. German and Japanese industry struggled with shortages of raw materials, internal political conflicts, and constant Allied bombing. American industry, shielded by two oceans, operated at maximum capacity, largely untouched. This created a brutal asymmetry. A German commander had to treat his Panther or Tiger tank like a priceless heirloom. An American commander knew that if a Sherman was lost, more were already rolling off assembly lines and crossing the Atlantic. This was not merely a war of tactics or strategy. It was a grinding war of attrition, and it was a war American industry was uniquely built to win. The millions of rifles, the tens of thousands of tanks and aircraft, the endless convoys of trucks, and the billions of rounds of ammunition were not just tools of war. They were the physical manifestation of national will. They were the hammer of the arsenal of democracy, an industrial avalanche no enemy could withstand. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if you enjoy deep dive analyses that break down the big picture of history, be sure to subscribe to Weapons Edges and hit the notification bell for our next episode. Thank you for watching.